Thank you for viewing my poster presentation on the work I've completed thus far on my dissertation. My name is Melanie Largen, and I'm presenting on the mindset impact for STEM students in remedial mathematics. The efficacy of post-secondary developmental or learning support math and English courses across the country is heavily debated, with 68% of those starting at public 2-year institutions and 40% of those starting at public 4-year institutions taking at least one developmental course between 2003 and 2009. It is a topic that impacts a majority of new students entering our colleges and universities. Since developmental math courses in particular have the highest rates of failure and non-completion of any developmental subject area, developmental mathematics engenders special scrutiny. When examining success in mathematics in general, there's a great body of literature that links a student's attitude about math to ultimate success in the discipline. It has been found that the belief that one's learning experience has value or relevance, coupled with the student's expectation of success, can lead to motivation and persistence in the face of initial failures. A student's basic beliefs about intelligence also play a key role. Both of these principles apply to the concept of mindset, which falls into two broad individual perspectives of considering intelligence to either be fixed or having the capability to be developed or grown. The belief in personal growth mindset has been shown to be particularly impactful among underrepresented populations and women. While applicable to all mental tasks, applying these concepts to learning mathematics has produced significant improvements in achievement. The application of mindset theory to developmental math in particular has been studied less, however. As stated by Bonham and Boylan, this is a rich area of information for educators designing developmental mathematics courses, and one that should definitely not be ignored by anyone attempting to improve student performance in developmental mathematics. According to survey research conducted by the National Center for Educational Statistics, given the different outcomes experienced by remedial completers and non-completers, further research is needed to identify the underlying obstacles that hinder remedial course completion. I believe part of this underlying obstacle is mindset. Furthermore, the development of this mindset is tied directly to the math experiences students have prior to entering post-secondary education and goes beyond the content of the math courses taken. There is yet another layer of study, though, beneath the impact of mindset on developmental learning support mathematics success. This layer revolves around the examination of students that are striving for degrees in STEM fields. Here again, much is written about STEM success, but little about those who start in developmental math and are able to persist to obtain a STEM degree. Female and underrepresented students are less likely than white males to even declare a STEM major, and even among those who completed a STEM degree, a smaller percentage completed their degrees within 5 years. In addition, students who took remediation or developmental courses were less likely to persist to a degree. The fact that students who test into remedial math coursework are disproportionately from underrepresented populations adds credence to the possibility that placement in a developmental math class blocks progress toward STEM degrees. Why is this important? Let's look at the numbers. Total college students in 2018 were around 17.8 million. Of that 17.8 million, a third of them went into study remedial math or English, the majority being remedial math. Of that group, only 1/5 of those even succeeded in those courses and continued on to their degrees. The potential for these students to succeed is very important to the success of STEM majors and mathematical thinking in the future. These are my research questions. They center on uncovering mindset characteristics that impact student performance in remedial math, focusing again primarily on those students who declare STEM majors. I hope that this research can lead to targeted interventions that can mitigate the impact of mindsets that produce negative results while amplifying those that produce positive results. There are 3 major research questions. What are the mindset characteristics common to STEM students who place into learning support math classes? Do certain mindset traits predict success more than others? And are there certain traits that are more prevalent among age, gender, and race demographic groups? I intend to approach this study through three main data streams. The first will be a survey, which will be administered to every first-time student in math learning support at Georgia Highlands College across 2 semesters. I've chosen GHC due to my affiliation with the school, but also due to the large population of learning support math students that the school enrolls, landing between 45 and 55% of their entire entering freshman class. The second data stream is the general demographic information about each participant, which will be collected from institutional records pending Institutional Review Board approval, and includes things like age, gender, and race. The third is the end of term grade information, which will again come from institutional records. This work will examine the relationship statistically among the variables mindset, characteristics, age, race, gender, and course success in order to determine a possible causal link and the strength of that link. Here are some of the findings and implications from my research so far. Focus primarily on the literature survey. First, there is a prevalence of part-time instructors. According to 2016 U.S. Department of Education data, 35% of the teaching faculty at public 4-year colleges are adjunct or part-time instructor. For 2-year schools, the numbers are even larger, with 70% having part-time status. In addition, developmental courses are oftentimes relegated to junior or part-time faculty members. Those students would typically see an even higher percentage of part-time faculty instruction. Bottom line, it means that the students in public colleges across our nation are more likely to be taught by a part-time instructor than a full-time faculty member. The impact of developmental education courses is large. Given that Complete College Georgia reported in 2011 that roughly 60% of students in 2-year schools and 20% in 4-year schools would require some type of developmental education. Of those students who are required to take a developmental education course, only a small percentage ever move on to the next college course, and in general are significantly less likely to finish college as compared to their peers who do not require remediation. Learning support students typically come from underrepresented groups. Due to the high percentage of enrollment in learning support classes by these groups, learning support classes have a disproportionate impact on that proportion. Female and underrepresented students are also less likely than white males to even declare a STEM major, and even among those who completed a STEM degree, a smaller percentage completed their degrees within 5 years. The fact that the demographic profile of students who test into learning support math is typically weighted toward these underrepresented groups adds credence to the possibility that placement in a developmental math class blocks progress toward STEM degrees. Mindset plays a large role in success in math. When examining success in math in general, there is a great body of literature that links a student's attitude about mathematics to ultimate success in the discipline. It has been found that the belief that one's learning experience has value or relevance, coupled with a student's expectation of success, can lead to motivation and persistence in the face of initial failures. Each of these findings has its own unique implication. For part-time instructor prevalence, this would mean that all study recommendations would have to consider training of this particular group and how that will be accomplished. Given the large numbers of students placing into learning support classes, there's a potential impact of improvements that is very large in terms of the success factor. Since learning support students typically come from underrepresented groups, interventions here can lead to more equitable education outcomes. And the fact that there is also a low number of underrepresented groups in STEM majors indicates that perhaps there is a causal link with learning support math success that impacts underrepresented groups progressing in STEM. And finally, mindset changes can help with math success in general, and if we can uncover the specific outlooks that impact underrepresented groups, we can affect their outcomes in particular. The first developmental education classes offered by American universities was in 1849 at the University of Wisconsin, when the school was faced with an entering class that did not have the needed skills in reading, writing, or math to begin college-level work. Since that time, developmental education classes have spread to virtually every campus across the country, and higher education researchers have struggled with determining and improving their effectiveness. While there have been many that focus on the content of these courses, new research is showing more and more that student attitude and belief may be more important to success than the pure mathematical knowledge that is imparted. Given the large numbers of underrepresented students in these classes and the parallels between learning support placement and lack of representation in STEM fields among this group, work in this area is imperative in order to meet the discipline shortfall and produce graduates that give back to their professions and their communities. Starting college and developmental math classes is a barrier to success for any student, but underrepresented populations and female students are disproportionately affected. Those in STEM disciplines face an even harder battle. Mindset is key to prevent defeat. #MindOverMath. Thank you for listening to my presentation.